Good evening. I'd like to call the Rutland Town School District Board meeting to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is we need to nominate a board chair. I'd like to open the floor for any nominations.
I'd like to nominate Tim as the chair.
Okay, we have a nomination for Tim.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, Tim, turn over to you.
The squeaker.
All right. Yeah. I will, thank you for that. I will take nominations for vice chair.
Nominate Colin as vice chair.
Nomination for Colin. Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Clerk? Can I nominate or no?
Yep.
I'd nominate Linda. I believe you were clerk last time.
Sure.
Right? Okay. Any other nominations? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jill and Jeff. Voting members, as just stay basically with the team that we had, Linda, myself, and Colin for SU.
Oh, sit on the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the event we have negotiations, I believe Jill was sitting in for Linda.
Yeah.
Here comes the chair. Congratulations.
Quick, write her name down before she
Yeah.
leaves.
All right. So I believe we've been doing the second Tuesday of each month for the school board meeting at 6 o'clock. That's gonna work for everyone. 6:03. 6:03. All right. So we'll stay with that, and we'll come up with an annual board retreat date at a later date. Maybe. Do we have to do that anytime?
You can
is
set your
May
retreat at
fine?
any time.
Okay.
So,
I'd say we look at it in May
Yeah.
when it's a little closer.
Everyone's got their summer calendar going.
Alright. Annual meeting for next year will be March 1st, 2027 at 7 p.m. Affirm the use of Robert's rules for small boards. Was that... Do we need to sign something
just
on
need
it?
a motion for.
I think a motion that we approve to use the Robert's rules for small boards.
Alright. Any discussion?
Yeah, Chris, do you know what does that afford us? I guess, just so everyone knows.
What is it, small?
Yeah.
Small board?
Or you don't need a second?
Like-
You don't need a second, right? And the chair can make a motion and vote.
Okay.
It's two of the main differences between small boards and regular.
Since we're all experts on Robert's rules.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You guys should have seen and reviewed the VSBA Code of Ethics, as well as SU conflict of interest policy, kind of recognition of that policy and signature. So I would take a motion to accept the VSBA Code of Ethics.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Locations of where agendas and minutes will be posted. I don't think that's really changed, right? We do a central office.
We do the
Here at
school
the school.
website, the central office, and do we do it at the town hall?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Christine shares it with them. Christine McGinnis, doesn't she share it with the town hall?
Yes.
I haven't been at the town hall recently, so.
All right. Choice of attorney. It's been Leopold. Is there any changes?
Make a motion that we adopt the SUs. However, in the event we have a discrepancy with the SU, should we have our own counsel?
Well, Chris will represent each board independently, and I think if there is an issue within the SU, I think the boards can discuss at that time if there's a need to seek outside representation.
Not anticipating. Just
Right. Yep.
a question.
Okay. So Chris Leopold for now, and if we have to go to outside counsel for some discrepancy or conflict of interest, we can do that at that time.
I guess we would do an RFP at that point. Yeah.
All right. Identify media sources, which is
Facebook
Yeah.
and
the Herald. I think we normally put down, right?
Yes, Rutland Herald, I think, is usually used. It's typically where we post our warnings. If there's a,
Okay.
and I guess the what's that? What are we using?
Oh, the circle.
Well, that circle.
It's
you
so
know,
useful.
the circle and no, I meant
It's not
Front
as-
doors.
Oh, the front, the Greater Rutland County message, monthly message.
but what is that?
We call it the QR code, but it's called the Greater Rutland
But it's hosted by what's it?
MailChimp.
MailChimp.
But
There we go.
that's- Well, that's not really the name of that. That's not the name of that.
so MailChimp is just the platform that they use.
Yeah, we wouldn't have
for
to
it, but,
approve that.
I think-
That's a media source.
Right.
Okay.
So you have Rutland Herald, you have the
Use it.
Circle, and then what was the third?
Facebook, and then the monthly message that the.
Well, we won't. I don't know if we want to do Facebook as an official,
Yeah.
because I think that might be in conflict of our the social media. I think the school may use it, but
We don't really use it, the school uses it.
right. I think it's just more where board will board can communicate in a variety of ways, but I think it's more where we're going to post warnings. So we would
Okay.
post a warning, the Rutland Herald, the Circle, and then
Okay. Perfect.
then what was the third one that Linda was saying? I did.
The,
We were saying the monthly message that we've been doing with the communication committee, like that.
Okay, so we'll just go with the Circle and then Rutland Herald, and then that would just be another way of communicating. Okay, that's okay with the board.
Authorize the administration to request and expend available grant funds from the Agency of Education as well as state and federal funds.
Yep. Make a motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Authorize the board to borrow funds for UUSD pending receipt of payments from state education fund.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Colin. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Authorize the board chair to sign director's orders and other documents on behalf of the board as necessary.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Subcommittees. I saw no reason to change these, but if anyone has any issues or a refresher on who's on what, I'll take that as we go down. Finance committee, I think it was Colin and myself. Right. Negotiations was Colin, Jill, and myself. Love that. Policy committee was Jeff and Linda, right?
Yeah.
Building and grounds was Colin and Jeff. Hiring committee was that you, Linda?
Oh, yeah, I've been invited to some of the interviews,
Okay.
so
So
it must be.
you're still good. You're still good with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Communication person. Is that usually the chair or? I don't-
I'm not quite sure if this is like the representation on the GRCSC Communication Committee or just.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Typically, the chair is one that speaks on behalf of the board, but
I'll put myself, and then the committee piece, so Colin and Linda if there's question. And then Colin, I believe you were the liaison to the select board.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. All right. And you were taking those notes too, Chris? You, all right. Moving on. I will be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Any discussion? I would like to add under personnel, professional contracts. There's some teacher contracts that would need board approval. So that with that amendment, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right. No staff or community. I think the highlights that'll come back next month. Is that right, Sarah? Right.
That's the hope.
It was on the original draft. And then, all right, I will take a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Let's see, monthly reports are in the packet. Lewis is not joining tonight. There was a bit of an update on where the budget currently stands for this fiscal year. And I'll have that on the agenda for April, and Lewis will be here and we can kind of discuss that a little bit. It seems like we're trending towards a surplus, so I just asked that Lewis has any recommendations that he'll bring those in April so we can make sure that we round out the last quarter of the school year the best way that we can. So. All right, on the superintendent's report.
thanks. I don't really have a lot tonight. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to the Rutland town community for the support of the budget. As I said in the note that we sent out, on behalf of the board, we're very grateful for our staff, our families, our students that we have here, and they greatly support what Sarah, what Colby, and what the staff are doing here in the school. I just want to say thank you for that and for continuing their commitment to the kids here. So just thanks. We are in what's called crossover right now for legislative session. These 4 days began today through Friday. It's where the House and the Senate are both reviewing their bills and which bills will then be sent to the other. So like the House will decide which bills will be sent over to the Senate for review and vice versa. So we'll have a better understanding about what bills that make it through crossover. So I'm not really going to get into too many bills tonight because we don't really know what will happen with some of them. But I think as we get into later this month, we'll have a better understanding about what's occurred. So I know obviously we could still keep a close eye on Act 73, and particularly around the consolidation and the maps. But it seems as if there are two or three proposals that have been thrown out there, but not a lot of consensus on any one of those proposals at this particular point. So we'll just stay apprised of that. So, but while all this is going on, I said Sarah and staff just continue to provide a great education for our kids. So I just want to say thank you to them. So it's a nice buffer that they don't let the distractions of the at the state level, kind of trickle down to the school level. So I mean, there are a few items in there, just some updates, but just around grad requirements and class size, which we could talk a little bit more about later on this spring about the implications of that. The biggest thing with class size is the state has established minimums that'll be used beginning July 1. The difference is the maximums will be set by what the fire marshal sets occupancy by, which is very standard. It's similar to every other state I've worked in, but so no longer be established by policy or by procedure. So, say we have a classroom that the fire marshal comes in and says baseball and square footage and, teacher space, that we can have 30 kids in the room, so 30 becomes the maximum for that space for students. So that is a bit of a shift, a bit of a change, but that will impact, some staffing decisions, and as we look at budgeting, just, not just here in Rutland Town, but across our SU and across the state of Vermont, so. So, that's all I really have for tonight.
I guess with a maximum mandate, but if you still have above the minimum, can you split the class to your discretion?
Well, I think
We
so.
have minimum, there's minimum.
There's a minimum.
Yeah, there's
a
minimum now.
set. Yeah, so there's a minimum number. I think it's in the report, but so I think it's either it's like I think it's 12 for K through 1, 15 for 2 through 5, and so really that is a minimum that you would have in a class. So let's say you have a first grade class where you have say 30 students, you would just look at 2 groups of 15. I know some people say, well, it'd be great to have 3 classes of 10, but I think you also have to look at what makes sense. I think the state is really asking schools to really look at what are healthy class sizes, what makes sense, and obviously that depends on year to year, because like I said, I've been in this 30 plus years, and I'll tell you, I've had class sizes up to 36, and there were some years like I had 36 kids in a classroom. It was a dream class. They were great kids. I had no problems with them. I had a class of 14 kids, and it was a grind every single day. So it just really depends on the dynamics and the bubble. So I think there are decisions that Sarah and Colby will have to really consider each year as they look at staffing. And but the state has set that minimum, which doesn't really impact Rutland Town. But
Actually
it's
helps us.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I know, it's good. I just, overall impact, like, let's just say you have 24 first graders, and the fire, not here, but the fire marshal walks in and says, hey, this room can have 30. It's going to.
You could have one classroom with 24 students, correct?
And that board's going to make that decision to save money, and ultimately, instead of splitting it 12-12, or.
Well, I think the board's
That's what I was
decision
like-
would be, do you support an additional staff member to look at lowering that, or do we look at, I mean, it really boils down to FTEs and what amount of FTEs that you get, will give Sarah to utilize within that building. I think those are discussions that each year we'll take a look at numbers, and we look at where we're at with the budget, but it does provide a little more flexibility. I think there are other schools in our SU that are, when you look at the minimum class size, there are some concerns.
Yeah.
And so what does that do? How do we handle that? So, but like I said, there are a lot of dynamics around class size, and I know that, but like I said, Sarah, has some ideas about what's best for kids, and I think each group is unique and each group is different. I'm not trying to speak on your behalf, but so.
And we're fortunate, we're pretty steady.
Yes.
I gotta do my homework a little more, and it doesn't really impact Rutland Town, so maybe not dive too deep into it, but the exemptions, where did they was that
Exemptions for
like,
Class size?
for
Class size.
CTE, for
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like where, I mean, I feel like
It's-
CTEs are, if you're talking about budgets and dollars, I feel like CTEs are probably
I think
very
they're still trying to
expensive.
figure out where some of these exemptions lie, because I know you look at terminal courses, and I'll speak on behalf of Corey Valley. As we looked at the number, I think upwards of 70% of our courses were seen as terminal courses, which would kind of it really was not the spirit of
Correct.
the numbers. So I think there may be some revisiting of some of the language or some more clarification on that for us.
There's been a lot of chatter, and other
Yeah.
people are working those to their advantage, so it's not helping, especially those really teeny, you're like, oh, you have a class of AP of 2 kids with a full-time teacher. They're like, oh, well, it's considered this. And it's like, you have a school that has the AP class 5 miles down the road.
it's more clear cut when you look at the elementary grades as opposed to when you get to high school. That's when it becomes more complex because there are a lot of scenarios around AP course or an IB course or what those numbers are at, to what's terminal, what's not terminal. And so terminal is seen as the last course within that curriculum sequence.
Yeah.
So
It just caught my eye when I was reading your report, so
yeah.
we're out of curiosity. I didn't know if there was much conversation and support for that, or if they were just trying to appease certain scenarios or what. So, but
Yeah.
I'll hold my.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it to really put my 2 cents in. So I'll move on. Principal's report.
Sure. Well, thank you to the Rutland community for supporting our amazing school, and we were right back at it when we came back from voting. So good luck to Izzy Klassen and Violet Poley. Miss Cornell and Mrs. Neary are headed to Norwich tomorrow afternoon for the spelling bee, so we'll see how they do. I just cut and pasted some information. I won't read it word for word about summer programming. So Sarah Taylor met with me and later with Mr. Escock and talked about students will be referred for summer programming through our educational support team. They'll be making recommendations. So summer programming will be at Pulteney Elementary School in West Rutland. There's also academic tutoring and then extended school year at various locations that are listed there. So those for students, special education students. So the dates and times are listed there. Miss Mandeville continued with our 5th and 6th grade student ambassadors with their monthly student assembly. We had to postpone that due to the snow delay last Friday, but it's set for this Friday. So last month's trait was teamwork. This month is respectfulness. During the February in-service that we had building-based Officer Perkins, we've been waiting to do this for a while. It took a little longer than expected, but he just worked with some of our staff about some safety scenarios, which was well received. He's helping us with making sure we have some red backpacks with some safety gear in them, and he's updating all of those and adding some things. EST, we're continuing there. We can go over the Fastbridge report a little bit later that's linked in there. Physical plant, I wrote this, I think, just before break, so I didn't have a lot to add, but we had a lot of snow removal, obviously. I think everybody did in the state of Vermont. Our annual radon testing is set for April vacation. That usually happens annually. And then Kelly and his crew have just been busy with multiple setups between the talent show, K4 assemblies, town meeting, voting, etc. Last Saturday, I was excited. I completely rode the coattails of Katie McDougall and Jen Tift. As you know, they received $15,000 grant from Educate Innovate initiative grant, and so they, in collaboration with the UVM men's ice hockey team, wanted to honor those recipients. And Jen Tift was at a professional development, so Katie asked if I could attend. So I did play ice hockey for a short time at UVM, and it's been a minute since I stepped on that ice, and it was really fun. And there was a lot of families that. And just audience members that came up to thank teachers. And the captain of the ice hockey team came over to give us some knuckles just to say thank you. Katie and I both thought in our teacher mode that he had to use the restroom. So he was like, no, I just want to say thanks. You're teachers, and teachers that have done a lot for me. So I just thought that was really nice, and we both brought our families. It was a fun event, for sure. A lot of other things that are happening in here. NAEP testing starts tomorrow, so a huge thanks to Kate Manivelle. That's for 4th grade and 8th grade this year. We do start VitCap testing. So I sent a long assessment letter, I think the day after voting, to families. And I encourage everybody, if you want to see what that test is like, to click that link on that letter to try it online. It is some hard stuff. So just navigating the online part of it. It's not exactly the way it is for students, but this is testing season. So thank you to families that have donated. We're just looking for some A for effort prizes for both students and for teachers, because it's a lot of work and it can be very anxiety provoking for both children and adults. So that kicks off next week. And then some field trips that are coming in. Also, we had students that participated in the Music District Festival up at Mill River on Friday as well. We have Rutland High School coming for registration day. We have Schwa Day coming up in April. And then our end of the year important dates. We do continue to be short-staffed, always looking for substitutes, and we are currently looking for a long-term PE health teacher, a long-term sub for a paraeducator, an ELL teacher, and we don't have a middle school boys lacrosse coach. We do have low numbers. Mike has reached out to everybody. We have a schedule, a game set, all of that, but I was going to touch base with him this week. He's here every day. He is filling in for Tiffany for our PE health position in the mornings for the month of March. So a huge thanks to the select board who said, you know, you can come in. So he's been wonderful. And I have a couple other irons in the fire of maybe a possible retired PE health teacher that I spoke to this evening that may be able to fill in. So that's in the works. But if anybody knows of a PE or health teacher that would like to come work for a few months, let me know. So I'm not sure if we'll have a boys lacrosse team at this point, unfortunately. Our enrollment numbers are there, and yeah, we keep plugging away.
30,
We're maxed out at preschool, so 30 is the most that we can have, and we always have a wait list.
those,
It's very competitive. I mean, we had I won't say who, but somebody that gave birth and an hour later called to put their kid on the list.
oh my,
It's so competitive. It's hard for anybody to find childcare. So.
but there are a lot of people that are coming to Rutland Town to be part of the school community.
Yeah. Any questions from the principal's report?
Is there a lacrosse program that we connect with if we don't have a team or not?
So Mike Rowe was going to talk to Coach Norman up at Rutland High School because we have been fielding the Rutland City players have been coming here, the Barstow players. We've had some Otter Valley players here. So he was going to, before February break, he was going to speak to Coach Norman and just say, can you guys try to take this over? You know, I have a game schedule, I have a schedule ready, but we have 5 kids here that are interested, and we can't find a coach.
How many kids? 5?
At the before February break, there were about 5 or 6.
How's it gonna work without having a summer program here with Boys and Girls Club?
We didn't last year either, and all of our kids got slots at West Rutland or Poultney.
Okay,
So I think West Rutland's kind of a center location, and they did great. And yeah, there were no complaints. Parents were at first they were, because I think they were used to being here, but they were very pleased. And it especially helped that tutoring help was seamless within the building.
oh yeah,
So I think that's sometimes was challenging for parents that just came for tutor, you know, in that hour in the day. So, and then sometimes it was a different location for ESY. So with families that may have kids with some different needs, it's kind of all in one.
yeah, and last summer was so busy here with construction, so it was probably
Correct.
helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we weren't able to have people in the building. I mean, I was coming through,
Yeah,
probably not safe, but in the library.
We're gonna do a summary of the new 8th grade, not vacations, whatever, trips at the end of the year.
So what the 8th grade teachers are planning, it's interesting. Amanda McIntyre and Lori Elliott are the 8th grade trip leaders. So Amanda talked to them saying, you know, like, do you want to, because during voting, some people missed the bake sale. They were like, is DC, like, where's the bake sale? Where's the coffee? Where's the, and the parents were done fundraising. Like, this has been part of the issue. They were like, we're good. We'll pay for it, or we'll find the money, but we're done fundraising after the first parent conferences with the bake sale that happened. So Sherry's collecting money for that. So Amanda was reminding students, you know, if they want to fundraise and get ready for these trips, and someone like, wait, we're going on a trip? It's like, you voted. We talked about this. I think they just forgot, or parents didn't remind them. So they are going into the educational day to Great Escape, Six Flags. That has been very difficult to work with, I think, just corporate. They've put in so much time just communicating with them. And then they've planned the Boston trip. So they have an itinerary for that.
The Six Flags trip is good considering Great Escape just sold.
it's probably
Maybe that's why it's such a pain. Yeah, it did just sell.
Yeah.
So maybe I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to, like, I mean, pictures, update, or?
Or just like after it all happens, just
Yeah.
like kind of a
That'd be
breakdown.
so interesting.
Feedback would be great from all parties.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't need to be a 2-hour long debate. Just like a nice.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nothing for me.
Good.
Are we doing the FastBridge thing? Do you want to look at the FastBridge data that's linked in there, or no?
But other boards are hold off till April, but if this board.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. We can look at it in April. Doesn't matter.
Well, not.
We're doing great. We're making growth.
So,
Or not.
It's up to you guys. It's linked in there.
I don't care. Do we just want to do it real quick?
But
Can we just do the fast bridge since we're
Yeah. People.
going to be done in a few minutes anyway?
sure.
Yeah.
Let's knock it out because
Yeah.
I'm sure the other agenda
I'm proud.
might get busier. So.
Our kids work hard. I just this season though, spring is great, but it's a lot of testing, especially for the 4th and 8th graders. Between NAEP and FICAP, and they have this extra science test, and they're working hard. Do you mind putting it up on the screen? Yeah. It's my principal's report. I'm not going to share it with you, but I'll chat it to you just so you have it right at the top.
I think so.
This is just what happened.
And then thanks to Tyler Wiedemann, he is our curriculum coordinator, and he got these ready for Colby and I. And we did have a few questions, made him go back a few times and edit some things. It's helpful. All right, so I mean, I've shared these quite a bit, so I'm not going to go through all the first pages of what they are. Can you see it? Yeah. 3, 4, 5. Page 5. So the first one is literacy, and these are the same. I won't read these word for word. These are in your packet, so you can see for early reading, CBM, and then auto reading. So the next slide is for kindergarten through 1st grade. So you can see what we really look at is that growth, and the more sorry, I'm pointing like you're actually going to see my cursor up there. I apologize. So we want to see those small numbers on the far left for sure. So that's K1. CBM reading. So that's fall to winter. And then you look at our growth. And I always look at, especially kids that are very high achieving, it's hard for them even to move up a little bit. So that's kind of typical when we see those that are at achieving above the norm. They may not have a ton of growth, but that's okay as long as they're growing. Next one is auto reading for grades 4 through 9.
That's nice.
Yeah, I stopped screenshotting and sending them to Chris, to Brett. He's like, I'm aware, Sarah, I see your scores. So this is auto reading 4 through 9. And this is kudos to our amazing staff and our kids that work so hard. Yep. And then A reading is the next one. So again, those are pretty small numbers for students at risk, and then we see some good growth there. Moving on to math. So we have early math and A math. So we can see some great things happening in early math. Next slide is grades 2 through 9, A math. And then we have some group screening reports. That this compares the district to Rutland Town. So the district is on the left and Rutland Town is on the right. For reading, CBM is the next one.
What's nice to see, and when you just look at data, is that you wonder what you're doing for kids that aren't meeting the benchmark, which is the black line there. So the school has things in place, so we don't want anyone to slip through the cracks, so to speak.
And then our auto reading compared to the district. And the last one is A reading. And then moving into math. And I think for the district too, this is the first year for some of them moving to Bridges 3. That's something that we started last year, but we've had Bridges for a
Yeah.
decade, I'd say.
And the teachers are happy with Bridges 3.
Yeah, I don't think there's a ton of change. There's some more resources, a little more user-friendly.
That's always good.
Yeah. And then A math for grades 2 through 9. Oh, I just clicked too fast here. And then the analysis is just, areas of promising growth, and we're always looking for ways to reduce percentages of students in flat growth. So we have monthly data meetings. So Colby, through the educational support team, meets with every single teacher, PE, special, like every teacher in the building, and there's meetings to look at strengths and weaknesses, any patterns, whether it's behavior concerns, academic, social, emotional. So we're not just looking at one single score. These are meant to be a screener as a discussion point. There's some kids, myself included, that test taking is not the end all be all. They may say there's flat growth or they decrease, but if I work with them, there's other data points. So those conversations are important to have. And then for next step, we're just, keep supervision evaluation. We have a phenomenal MTSS system here. We talk about data and instruction, and we're always looking for good PD. So I know that for our March in service at Pulteney, a number of teachers, Tyler had asked, which I think is great, to actually do some modeling of math workplace games. So they're signing up for things, and I think that helps. Instead of sitting in metal chairs and listening to somebody, the actual bringing the manipulatives and showing other teachers some things that's happening in the classroom is always really beneficial.
Yeah, you've got great resources right within the district, so
Yeah.
it's good to use them.
You got it. Yeah. Any questions?
How long have we been using Fastbridge?
Fastbridge has been used
4 years.
4 years.
That's all.
Is that everywhere?
Yes. So we were using Maps, and then we were using Maps and Fastbridge, and we had a committee with some ESSER-funded positions here, and the state said due to the MTSS requirements, we need to progress monitor. So one of the reasons this committee came up with Fastbridge is it also has a progress monitoring tool within it. We all have our own opinions on Fastbridge.
Sure, but it's standardized across. That's my question to you, Chris.
Yes.
Is anybody in Montpelier looking at this data from especially the K-1 data, to say, okay, here's 10 years ago when we didn't have pre-K, specifically pre-K attached to schools, and are we seeing movement in the K-1 numbers specific to schools that have pre-K versus did we move the dial at all by going universal pre-K? And
So,
two, do schools that have that advantage, are we seeing it trickle in?
I think
Or we
people
just-
will look at that data, locally, and I think with Secretary Saunders, who is data-driven, there have been discussions around really diving deeper into that data to really take a look at the impact of some of these decisions and, in pockets. I think we talk about, Fastbridge, and I know that, I really like Maps, and that's just more my comfort level with coming from New Jersey, and but I think the reason why I liked Maps back in New Jersey was because of the fact that you had these test scores, these proficiency really are a one-off indicator, and I've always said it's in a state that proudly touts proficiency-based learning, proficiency-based grading. There is a bit of a contradiction that we're assessing the students' proficiency on how they test on that day at that time, when really it's more of a period of time where we're looking at proficiency. But that's, in order to do that, you also really take a look at growth, make sure you have data that shows firm growth. And now we, shares Fastbridge that Rutland Town has that, but MAP is a little bit clearer indicator of that growth. I would like to see really the state look at, both the statewide measurement of growth as well, that we really can see and can look at. If there's something that Rutland Town is doing well, what does that look like? How can we replicate that across the state in similar demographics? Or if there's something that's being done in another district, what does that look like? But right now, people are using many different things, different assessment pieces, assessment tools, and so it's a bit convoluted. We're still seeing the impacts of COVID, the pandemic, and that's just and that's the reality of it. That students that were born or early year or 2 years of age are now trickling into our schools, and we're seeing just these impacts. And I think one of the things that Sarah and her staff have done is tackle this problem head on and really had a very aggressive approach. But still, it's centered on what's best for the kids, and we are seeing some nice closure of gaps. I will put it that. So,
I mean, I'd be interested to see our data, not for us, but a lot of the conversations that we have specific when it comes to budget season is everyone feels. I feel like our kids are failing. I feel like versus,
sure.
we implemented universal lunch even though we had that from the feds. Is that translating to less kids going hungry? Is that translating to better kids in school, or do we just throw $30 million down the fucking drain? Pardon my expression. And the same thing with, to come back to the voters, specific to towns that are like, we don't need pre-K, it's all about money. Like, it's working. I'm in education, you're in education. The younger you get a kid, it's going to work, but we need to show this to the people that are just like, it's not working, our kids are getting dumber.
No, early intervention is key, and I think Sarah can agree with this. But ideally, you'd want to have. I mean, obviously, we talk about Sarah told a story about the individual with an hour of giving birth who's already trying to register. It's not just about childcare; it really is about getting kids in for academic, social, emotional. They're and with every year that we as a system can gain access, you really are lessening those developmental delays and lessening that gap, because we talk a lot of times that gap that exists at that third grade level really begins when they're 3 or 4, and sometimes when kids come in first, because kindergarten still is non-compulsory here in the state of Vermont, so you may find a kid their first time formal education, formal schooling is first grade, and we have to quickly try to close that gap. And so it's I think anyone who's been involved in education long enough will sit there and tell you that a strong early ed pre-K program is essential, and it pays its dividends in the long run. And that's, you'll see a lot of districts when they invest in what's the long burn or the slow burn, which really is you put early ed and invest in programs, invest in quality staffing, and you will pay the dividends later on with that. But so.
And I think it was years ago, like University of Michigan did that study where special ed costs were reduced by close to half or something over so many years. This was a long time ago. And preschool is definitely a passion of mine because of that reason. We had, when I started here 14 years ago, half-day preschool, and it was lovely. But most of these kids did not need preschool. And then we had kids showing up that, never held a book, that weren't potty trained, that were really plugged in front of a TV. And I was like, we need to find these kids and get them here that aren't speaking at all, that were nonverbal, serious delays. And so at the time, the superintendent, I really advocated, because I'm like, these kids were missing years of. And it's not that we're making them hit the books. Our preschool teachers are incredible. They're still playing. They're outside. But it's really those communicating. It's those preschool skills that recognizing emotions. How do you share all of those things?
That's foundational.
It's foundational.
Right.
When you were talking about data too, I believe that across the country, when they compare schools' performance, they're all using different tests. And one school, let's say Massachusetts, I think it is, has always used the same test for like 30 years. And we've changed our testing. And that's a learning curve when we keep changing standardized testing. The teachers that are giving the test and the students are getting used to a new test. Like the first year is kind of a trial. And then you get into, how to take the test and
Sure. I mean, I think
But we're not comparing, so when they say, oh, Vermont isn't doing as well as they did, but these states are doing great, there's a question about what are you really comparing? I don't think they're comparing apples
no.
to apples.
No, and you're 100% correct, and I think, high stakes testing, the research shows that it's not a strong indicator of student learning. I mean, just that one test. I mean, that's now if it's like part of a larger mosaic, you have all these other data points. You have a much clearer understanding of that. But like I said, this is year 33 in education for me, and I think for all 33 years I've heard schools are failing, this, that, and my father-in-law used to always say, figures lie, liars figure. And, with data, you can distort data. You can use it to your advantage. It depends on how you want to skew that one way or another. And, I've been saying, to the admin all the time, it's like, we don't shy away from accountability. We're the first one. Our goal is to make sure our kids are, receiving a high-quality education, that they are prepared, they're getting the learning that they need within that bigger picture. But you're right, it does sometimes frustrate when you hear, schools are failing, and they throw one data point, and you look at the report card and the snapshot. I know they just didn't really make big pages, but the equity designations were found that they're erroneous. The errors that they're using to calculate schools that were identified as a TSI designation, it would made up in factual. So there's schools that were identified that should have been. There's schools that weren't that maybe should have because of a false calculation. So they're working through these data points. But like I said, it's just something which we take a look at, and we'll look at the report card, we look at the snapshot, we take it very seriously, we unpack it. But I think if VidCap still is going to be a valid assessment, and I've said this all along, Sarah and the staff need to see this, get those results back sooner. And we really have to really start to get item analysis. When I was in New Jersey, you had access to item analysis where you could really take a look at where kids were doing well and take a look at the type of questions that they were struggling with, what was being asked, how they're being asked, because there's what's called Webb's Death of Knowledge, the DOK, where there are 4 levels. You may have a 3rd grade teacher or 4th grade teacher who's spending 2 or 3 months on these standards, but they're assessing at a level 2 or level 3. But they sit and they take the assessment, and on the assessments being assessed at a level 4, the kids know it. It's just that the way it was presented may be just a little bit different. I told my daughters learn how to add. I was doing stacked, like I was taught to do. We were doing stacked. She'd get in the classroom, they were doing side by side. She had no idea. It was like she was doing I don't know. Like it's what do you mean? It's the same, but it was just because of how it was presented threw her off. It was because she didn't know it. But these are things which we have to understand. It's part of test design. Helping our staff, helping our students better understand, how to handle an assessment, and that's one piece, and we're not going to just sell our souls to that, because I think there are a lot of other great aspects in our schools that are indicators of success.
absolutely.
So
I want to push it back to them, like especially the mandates we have, that they need to start showing the data to back up some of the stuff that we're paying for. That's not our choice. And then I look at like a VT Digger comes out and shows Mississippi went from 50th to 11th, and they're killing Vermont. And like I assure you, and no bad ill will to anyone in Mississippi, that our kids are well ahead of them. But that's what gets printed in the national paper. That's what gets printed here. And so where's our legislation? Where's the Department of Ed in Vermont standing up being like, whoa? I mean, how many kids did they hold back in 3rd grade to not take the 4th grade test? How old are these kids? And that's the data they're throwing out. And some stuff that we're telling the public is out of our control. We need some help from Montpelier to say, okay, this is why we're doing it, and this is actually working. Or if it's not, pull that restriction from us and give us money that we could do to the stuff that we know is working.
Yep.
That's it.
I agree. And like I said, we know we have room to grow, and
Oh, yeah.
I just talk about SU in general. We've come a long way. Still have a lot of work to do, and I know Sarah always talks about the hardest thing is that step from good to great, and it's because you look at percentiles, when you're the 90th percentile to get from the 90th to the 93rd, that's a much more difficult jump than going from the 60th to the 80th percentile. So
Can I share one more thing
Sure,
that's
yeah.
here? So Jill Alderman, first grade teacher, they just wrapped up their opinion writing unit about their favorite lifetime sport. So the kids focused on introduction, 2 to 3 supporting details, and a conclusion to wrap up their paragraph. And many also included transition words in their writing.
Wait, what grade is
This
this?
is first grade. So I just, they're really cute, some of these. So again, they're little kids. But I just thought to pass it around to the board to look at. And Keith Schneider and Bailey are doing a survey they just send it out to staff because feedback's great. There's always room for growth, just like with kids with data, just like with us with systems in place. So Mr. Schneider sent that out on Monday. So we'll gather feedback and make some tweaks as needed.
Yeah, I'm so proud of our school for having that program because it's, they're building their physical development, but also social interaction, decision-making, following directions. There's a lot going on. And getting outside is key to well-being, I believe.
Yeah, it really is. It's just important for kids and for adults.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you, sir. Moving on to personnel, you'll find contract recommendations for extracurricular in your packet. There is also professional staff recommendations, which will be in the minutes, but I will need a motion to approve those contracted salaries.
Pursuant to the agreement via no negotiations.
Yeah, this is from the.
This isn't ours, so
Right.
this is-
Yeah, according to the master agreement, we have to provide all teachers with a notification of a contract by April 1st. So the board traditionally approves it in March.
I'll make a motion to approve both extracurricular and contract recommendations for the coming year.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. No old business at this time. No new business at this time. Upcoming meeting date,
April 14th.
April 14th at 6 p.m. Week before spring break.
And with your next packet, I'll have Christine put the board meeting schedule that she does for you, so you'll have a hard copy of that as well.
Okay, and then I'll share it with the town hall so they can put it on their website.
Sounds great.
Do we have this school calendar already?
Yes.
Is it the same thing with President's Day? Interesting.
It's part of the move towards a statewide calendar, which
Yeah, it's always later than,
so the 20s, I do believe the 27, 28 will be the first year of the statewide calendar. So
That's for real gonna happen.
So April 14th.
they have in there. That's what we want to do. X73. Yeah.
Heard that
Still no
before.
staff for community or anyone to applaud our budgetary efforts. But, no executive session. I'll take any comments on good and welfare.
I'll
I'm
start.
just
We
so-
passed the budget, so
Yeah.
that's always.
that's my focus too. I feel like the townspeople and we're listening and we're working together as I am a townsperson, not just a board member, so that made me feel good. There's support.
We wrapped up basketball. It was good. Heading into baseball. It should be fun. Amongst other various spring sports that my kids are playing. So.
Yeah, I think the last time we were, the 7th and 8th grade boys team were gone into the end of the season playoffs. They ended up winning that trophy, so that's 2 trophies that they get to shove into the trophy case down there by the
Yeah.
gym.
No more room.
There's
And,
gotta be a bigger
stop
one,
winning.
right?
And they did finish undefeated, which I think is a pretty tall feat for those boys. I'm proud of that group. And we got a little taste of spring, which is awesome for us.
Fall spring, if you will.
Fall spring, a little tease, but it's okay. It gets me through. So, that's all I got. Jeff, anything?
I'd just like to take a minute and thank the voters that supported the budget for coming out and voting. And I want to take a minute to thank the TV station for coming here and doing what they do every week with, making sure that all the taxpayers can see what's going on.
Definitely. Good job.
Thank you.
All good? All right. Anything, Joe? Are you good? All right. Then I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
6:56.
All right.
Saving those minutes.
All those in favor?
Right?
All right.